So we all know Eugene Harold Krabs, proud owner of the Krusty Krab, father of Pearl, the whale, lover of everything money, and also a taker of souls. Yes, you heard it right, a taker of souls. Mr. Krab has been stealing the soul of his workers. Mr. Krab so terrifying that he did not only steal his own workers' souls, but he also did not even invent the secret Krabby Patty formula. And I have all the evidence to prove it. From earlier episodes of the show, it's been shown that Krabs has connections with ghosts. And not just like any friendly connection, he owes them all souls. His soul.
Yeah, well, I sort of sold my soul already. What? Those guys, we were here first, Pops. We've all got claim on Krabs' soul. Good to the back of the line.
So wait, if Mr. Krabs owes them all souls, how did he pay them back? Well, I got the answer. He took the souls of his own employees. I know what you're thinking, how could he take the souls of his own employees? Wouldn't they have to give him permission first? Well, yes, usually, but Krabs actually owns their souls because Krabs made them sign a contract. In that contract, Krabs has the right to their lives and souls. There was an episode in SpongeBob where Krabs sold his soul for 62 cents.
That depends. How much money we talking about?
Mr. Krabs!
62 cents. I'll take the money.
Mr. Krabs!
Here you go, Krabs. 62 cents. Next up, Davy Jones' locker.
Well, that's one debt paid. So, how did Mr. Krab pay for the other debts that he had? Well, you won't believe it. You know how Scooter's always trying to leave his job, but no matter what, it always fails? I believe that he sold all of Squidward's hopes and dreams. Squidward even has a burial place for his hopes and dreams. There was even an episode where Squidward quit, but he had to return back to the Krusty Krab even after he made the chum bucket the worst place to ever eat anything, the best place, and he stole all the customers from the Krusty Krab. If that's not talent, I don't know what is. So if Squidward is so talented, why can't he find a job? Well, that's where the ghosts come in. They make sure that Squidward always fails. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why would ghosts do that? Well, ghosts feed a negative energy and Squidward has a lot of it. Well, you still don't believe me? Well, you're gonna believe me after this one. Everything that Mr. Krabs has was gained by selling souls. Even the secret Krabby Patty formula. Has it ever occurred to you that Mr. Krabs cannot cook? What, the owner of the Krusty Krab cannot cook? That's crazy talk. Well, I guess you're probably right. There is much evidence to support that except the appetizer. Yes, one of Mr. Krabs' most best creation. It's so great that he even came to life. It always puzzled me, how the hell did he beat Plankton if he's such a terrible cook? And also all the ingredients on that shelf that suddenly fell into the pot and made something delicious. Even if that really did happen, how did Mr. Krab even remember all of that? It's not like Mr. Krab is a super genius or anything, so I believe this is the first moment that Mr. Krab sold his soul. To ensure victory, he sold his soul to remember all those ingredients. And the biggest piece of evidence for this is that Mr. Krabs actually cooked something nice. We've all seen how he cooked before, how he cooks in the Krusty Krab. How the hell did he cook such a nice, delicious food if he cannot cook at all? We all saw the appetizer. Does anyone want to try that? So how does he do it? How does he run such a great restaurant when he's such a terrible cook? You know, it's really strange. How in the world did such a great fry cook such as SpongeBob end up at the Krusty Krab, and the guy before him was even better, also end up at the Krusty Krab? And what's strange about it is, all of them had their own Krabby Patty that they made for the Krusty Krab. I know it sounds ridiculous, but have you ever noticed that the first time SpongeBob applied for the Krusty Krab job, he went into the kitchen and made his own Krabby Patty that Mr. Krab himself was impressed by. All the recipes, the formula that Mr. Krab uses is not his own. Mr. Krabs doesn't even really have a formula. If he did, he could follow it step by step, but he doesn't really have a formula for Plankton to steal. But you can't let Plankton know that, because if that was the case, SpongeBob would be in danger, and he would lose the real formula, SpongeBob. But still, how did such great workers end up at the Krusty Krab? Well, I still have that theory, that the ghost made them reach there. The ghost brought them there. Mr. Krabs also owed a soul for them to bring the best cooks around to work at the Krusty Krab that would work for minimum wage. I know the theory so far is pretty hard to believe, but when you think about it, Mr. Krabs actually has unlimited access to their bodies and souls. There wasn't even an episode where he sold SpongeBob's body parts. This really shouldn't be shocking to anyone, but does anyone remember what a spongy patty is? As the name stated, it's a patty made of sponge out of SpongeBob. Some of you may be in disbelief right now, but there is no other animal that has sponge that can make a sponge patty. On more than one occasion, we've seen Mr. Krabs use his own workers, body parts, and inks for the good of himself. All workers at the Krusty Krab do not have any power over themselves. Mr. Krabs has the power. Mr. Krabs chooses what goes on. Yeah, sure, everything that Mr. Krabs does is illegal. Every single thing that he does is pretty much terrible. He could be sent away for life. Why do you think that he spends money, so much money, on cameras to spy on SpongeBob and Squidward, to ensure that all the terrible things that he does not reach to the public? Mr. Krabs is a fisherman in Krabs clothing. You get it? Fisherman in Krabs clothing, a wolf in sheep clothing. Before I end this video, I would like to leave one more theory. Have you ever noticed how the Krusty Krab is shaped like a crab prison or crab net, whatever they call it? And all the meals are named after Mr. Krab. Not C-R-A-B, but K-R-A-B. So could it be that the Krusty Krab is a representation for a prison? A prison where Mr. Krabs shall stay for eternity. There was even an episode where Mr. Krabs' workers such as SpongeBob and Squidward went on strike, and SpongeBob destroyed the entire place. And Mr. Krabs said, "You will be here working for eternity to pay back everything." And we got a glimpse into the future. They stayed for eternity until they were literally skeletons, working forever and ever. So Mr. Krabs dragged SpongeBob and Squidward into his hell. Remember to like and subscribe, cause this isn't over. There's another theory. A theory what Mr. Krabs actually did to Pearl, his own daughter. Well, not really his daughter, but he did something terrible to her, and we're about to show it in the next video.